And don't you know it, but our supposed allies that Donald Trump's been currying favor with, the ones that he's invested in and has taken investments from for his family business, those very same OPEC oil nations are putting the screws to Donald Trump and the American economy. And that's why a barrel of oil, which started out in the 70s, $70 a barrel of oil in February before the war in Iran, is now touching 110, soon to be $120 a barrel. That means gas prices are going to go up 50%, 50% in the next several days. And the United Arab Emirates and Kuwait, alleged friends of America, are taking advantage and extorting America with these pricing. Now, Trump came into the war with Iran, which he hopes all of these global impacts, his exporting of chaos, would distract attention and make people forget about his failings at home. You know, the taxes through tariffs on American goods, the inflation, the joblessness of his economy. I mean, it doesn't create any jobs. He thought, well, I'm doing terrible at home. Let me pull a Nixon and let me start bombing overseas and see if that improves my political fortunes, as your and my economic fortunes go down the drain. That's not working for him. Not when you have approval ratings that are hovering in the 30% range, when people hate your immigration policy, hate what tariffs did to prices, hate the inflation, hate the fact that their friends and family aren't working in this Trump economy. And so when you're bombing, you're not just bombing randomly. He's taking over and bombing and roiling the oil and energy markets already in the Trump administration. Your percentage of your own family budget that goes for energy, that means gas at the pump, electric, heating oil, all of the things that go into just fueling your day, is a larger percentage of your budget than it was when Joe Biden was president. And not by a little, but by a lot. So you're already paying more, okay? That was when gas was hovering at $3, $2.99, and something like that. Now go look at the gas prices, $5, $6, $7, and I'm not talking about just California. And that's look how quickly these things went up. Just to give you an idea, as we headed into the war in Iran at the end of February, oil, which is how we measure what you're ultimately going to pay at the pump. What is the light crude oil? They call it the Brent, B-R-E-N-T, Brent oil barrel price. Comes from an oil field in the 70s that had amazing crude oil. It's basically extinct now, depleted, but we still call it the Brent oil barrel marker. It was $70. It's now 105, 108, 110 on the spot market, higher. That happened $70 before February 28th. By March 3rd, after the war started, it was up to $80 a barrel. It then went on March 8th to 100, touching 110, and now beyond. What does that mean for you? That means that 50% higher, 60% higher gas prices at the pump in the next several days. What do you think that's going to do to an economy that was already reeling? Before the war started, we already got the economic report on jobs. Not only did Donald Trump not make one job in the month of February, didn't make one job in the month of February in an economy of 330 million people. He lost almost 100,000 jobs. 100,000. So it's not even net zero. It would be abysmal. It would be grounds for instant removal and impeachment, the way he's running the economy into the ground and beyond. To say that this economy made no jobs, but to lose 100,000 jobs in the month of February, what do you think is going to happen in March now that he's cut the fuel line between the American economy, the global economy, and energy? How do you fuel the economy if you don't have power? You don't have power without energy. You don't have energy without oil and electric and hydroelectric and all the rest of that. So let's just look at what's happening because of Iran. Again, an attempt to bamboozle you, right? To distract you from his failings at home. That's all it is. Whether we can make a list, the top 100 reasons people despise Donald Trump's policies, and I haven't even talked about the layers of scandal right? The stench of scandal, the indelible scar of scandal that marks this administration. Epstein leading it. How many sex scandals can one administration commit in just a term? We're 15 months in. There's 3 separate sex scandals going on within the Trump administration. The labor secretary, the Epstein child sex trafficking cover-up, and Kristi Noem's alleged affair with Corey Lewandowski, and her playing footsie in a 1-bedroom suite on a Gulf or a Boeing jet that you and I paid for. Bathroom comfort and hygiene are things most people, they don't think about it until something isn't working the way it should. That's where Tushy comes in. Tushy brings a modern, comfortable approach to everyday bathroom hygiene, with bidets designed to clean far more effectively than traditional toilet paper. Instead of endless wiping, Tushy uses fresh water to help remove up to 99% of bacteria while protecting your natural skin barrier. The Tushy bidet we received installed in about 10 minutes and attached easily to an existing toilet without the need for additional plumbing. The cleaning experience feels noticeably fresher and more effective compared with relying on toilet paper alone. Tushy bidets can also help reduce irritation, prevent micro tears caused by wiping, and many people who switch end up using up to 80% less toilet paper. Make going to the bathroom the most comfortable thing you do all day. For a limited time, our listeners get 10% off their first bidet order when you use code LEGALAF at checkout. That's 10% off your first bidet order at hellotushy.com with promo code LEGALAF. Again, for a limited time, our listeners get 10% off their first bidet order when you use code LEGALAF at checkout. That's 10% off at hellotushy.com with promo code LEGALAF. Put that aside. What did that do? Do you know that 1/5 of all oil in the world, 20%, comes through one location in the Middle East. It's called the Strait of Hormuz. You know what ships are getting through the Strait of Hormuz right now? Iranian. Everything else, it's a giant parking lot. Donald Trump says, we're going to start escorting ships to get through the Strait of Hormuz. You know, this is like policy on the fly. Somebody asked me over dinner over the weekend, what do you feel about the Iran war? I said, look, if it were in the hands of mature people that I believed had a plan for the aftermath, you know, the old Powell doctrine, once you break it, you bought it, for 90 million people in the oil fields and the security and the area so it doesn't tip over and just become a raging inferno through the Middle East, I'd feel better. If it were competent people. But how can you possibly, sure, any monkey can bomb, any monkey can push a button. We used to send them up in NASA in rockets to bomb people. But what do you do in the aftermath? The reason we're watching erratic policy behavior by Donald Trump every day saying, we're going to do something different. We're going to let the people pick the leader. No, I'm going to pick the leader. There's no consistency here because he is erratic and he is in the throes of dementia and the rest of his administration know it. So no, in the hands of Donald Trump, I did not want regime change or bombing war in Iran or boots on the ground. Not with this administration. And who's going to pay the price now for all of the fact that all of the Middle East is inflamed, an inferno? You know, when you see the map, it's not just here's the 75 places the Americans bombed today in and around Iran. It's here's the other 40 places that Iran bombed, including our allies and military bases. Were we prepared for this? Do you think Pete Hegseth, this is rhetorical, do you think Pete Hegseth has the brain power, the intellectual horsepower to be making these decisions? Look what they did with the economy and the brain trust around the economy. And we're going to trust them with a war effort and and what its impact is on the global economy? I don't think so. And now Donald Trump is busy calling his own followers fools. He posted on social media, only fools would oppose my policy. Only fools would be upset with higher gas prices in return for nuclear security. Is that what we just obtained? Or did you just obtain what you thought was a way to step on the news cycle and give yourself some points at home for politics? Because that's what we think you did. And look at the cost sucked out of the American economy. And think what we could have done with this money. it's going to be